to speak while women write, while women exist online, while women is dangerous.
Ooh, dangerous. What I think you're saying is that it's dangerous to be a woman because men are threatening, rape and death threats. But if you watch from YouTube videos of women who talk about men's rights or are anti-feminists, they get a lot of hate mail and threats as well, and they are from feminists, at least usually. So yeah, and men, we do get a lot of online abuse. Actually, we get more than women. One study found that. Of course, the Telegraph published an article this May that women are responsible for half of online abuse, study finds. So yeah, not off to a good start.
There is an online epidemic of violence against women.
But not against men, obviously.
Ask any woman who writes online, any female gamer or sports commentator, any artist or journalist, and you will find a backlog of death threat upon death threat upon rape threat upon rape threats, always rape threats. How did it come to this? To generations of terrified men.
You know, it's a feminist video when always, if something bad men do, it's always toxic masculinity or they are somehow shaming men. And of course, this is no different. Terrified men, yeah. Maybe you say something so stupid online that it just gets... people are so angry about that, and you're gonna say something stupid in this video, so I'm not saying that you should get hate mail, but I just say that maybe that's one of the reasons why you get.
Hiding behind screens, muttering violent utterings, whore, slut, cunt, feminazi.
Feminazi. Well, when anti-feminists say that feminists are this, that and that, feminists always, not all feminists, hashtag not all feminists. So we use a word feminazi to describe to those who think that all men should be killed or men should be only 10% of population, all men are rapists. So that's why at least I use that name sometimes, feminazi.
Why are they so afraid of what we have to say that every time I post a new poem online, I will inevitably get the comment, shut the fuck up?
Have you thought that maybe in your poem you are saying some incredibly stupid things? And again, I'm not saying that you should get hate mail for that, but some people just don't want to give constructive criticism.
To be dangerous is to speak while woman, to speak truth to power, to speak truth to power, to speak at all while woman is dangerous. Because when we decide to speak, we become dangerous women. When we decide to speak, we become dangerous to the status quo.
You're a woman, and I make the assumption that you are also a feminist. So I dare you, go to a feminist meeting and talk about some stuff like sentencing gap, unfair divorce settlements against men men are I think 97% of the alimony paid, stuff that affects more men than women, workplace deaths, prostate cancer research and the money spent in that research, and see what other female feminists think about you then. I dare you. I double dare you.
Because our voices can shatter glass ceilings.
Somebody who's much better than me in history, could you help out that? Have women ever in history taken something, away from men by themselves instead of just men giving that, like the right to vote, women. You talk about shattering glass ceilings. It's because men basically give that to you. So basically when you whine enough, you get stuff and rights, and you don't have to do that much yourself.
Our words can tear apart silence woven shut over centuries, because for us to choose to be heard instead of just seen is still revolutionary.
No, it's not.
When I speak online about women's rights to their own bodies, terrified little men threaten to hang me from trees.
Again, shaming men. And how do you know that's always men? Because if you watch videos from anti-abortion, you see that most of them they are women who are talking. You know, could you just stop lying, please? If you're a feminist, I know it's a hard thing to do, but could you just try?
To rape me out of my opinion, to force me to stay silent, to force me to shut up, to become a dangerous woman. Is to decide to be heard instead of just seen, is to decide that your favourite body part is not your tits or your ass or your waist, but your teeth, your tongue, your vocal cords.
That's kind of funny. Teeth, tongue, your vocal cords.
Is to find that the most beautiful part of yourself cannot be seen by outsider because it resides within your mind. Every time I receive a wave of online violence and abuse, I find it is the same thing. It is always from men. It is only from men.
As I said before, women are responsible for half of online abuse, study finds. Half! And don't think that only the 50% that are men are attacking you. I am sure that it's also women. Stop lying, please.
About what I'm speaking about. It is about the fact that I am speaking, that I dare to be speaking while living in this body, while this body is living in this world.
Bullshit, 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 bullshit. Did I already said bullshit?
The first time I received a death threat from my poetry, I was proud. I belly laughed with the joy of it. I wore it as a badge of honour. I felt it read, I am a dangerous woman. I threaten patriarchy. I make the status quo shake to its core. I am a dangerous woman. Hear me roar.
You're not a dangerous woman. You're a nagging woman. You should have done that Hear Me Roar, just like Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman Returns. Hear me roar. Okay, she didn't do that, but I'm Catwoman. Hear me roar. I don't know how she said it. You have seen the movie.
I received death threats online. I was proud. I had made some little man so afraid.
So this is the third time you are shaming men. Why I am not surprised.
He used every word he had ever learned to shut a woman up, to silence and disbelief, to force us into quiet.
You do know that he or she can't force you to be quiet by typing in a comment to your video or your poem and stuff like that. You do know that, right?
Whore, slut, cunt, feminazi. The first time I received a death threat for one of my poems, I was proud. But the 10th time, the 11th, the 12th time I received a death threat for one of my poems, I was tired. I was annoyed, I was exhausted, I was furious. I am not the only woman facing this. Many women have it far worse online than I do. How many more? How many more women threatened with murder for speaking before we act up?
I'm gonna use a clip from Third-Eyed Raven. She has a really good small YouTube channel, so check her video on this topic.
where we reclaim the internet.
When the internet was just for women, have I missed that? I didn't know that there was such a time. You haven't owned the internet. Women have not owned the internet ever. But if we continue this current rate, I think in this century women will own the internet. And if you're a white male, you better run.
As we reclaim our streets, how many more men and young boys socialized into misogyny?
But of course not how many more women and young girls are socialized into misandry. No, of course not. Of course. There's no such thing as misandry. Go to Chanty Pink's The Big Red and she says that it's just a theory. Just a theory.
Behind anonymous screens, this isn't helping men either. You know that, right?
You do know that it's not only men that do this, right? Right? You do know. Well, I'm here to help. It's not only men. Women do this shit as well. Shocking! I know.
I receive letters of support from men every week. Men who are exhausted and struggling and terrified of trying to live up to the expectations of being a real man. Men who are angry with the violence they see directed at women. Men who are exhausted, not knowing how to end that violence.
I bet you talk to women all the time about how they are exhausted from the inequalities that men face in societies. I bet you do that every chance you get. I bet you do. I trust. I believe in you. To anyone who doesn't know what sarcasm is, that was it.
Not knowing what to do. This is not about individual men, and it's not about a few internet trolls either. This is not about all men or some men. This is about masculinity.
I'm not calling myself, real man. But I do think I'm a man. And I have met a lesbian woman who is frankly more of a guy than I am. I don't know her that well, but when I have seen her, she's really a dude in. Would you tell to a woman about her masculinity? Toxic masculinity. Or is it some sort of internalized misogyny? I don't know. Tell me.
This is about masculinity gone toxic and afraid. This is about a masculinity gone violent. This is about a system of patriarchy so afraid of what we have to say and the fact that anyone can hear us say it, that it will threaten us.
So when you receive these comments to rape threats, death threats, are they saying in the end, P.S. this is from the patriarchy? And if we do live in a patriarchy, you do have, as a woman, quite a good position because you have more rights than men do. You have less responsibilities than men do. So it's kind of good, this patriarchy you live in. If matriarchy comes in and it means that men will have more rights and less responsibilities, bring it on! And if the matriarchy would come and I would have all those rights and less responsibilities than women do, the last thing I would do is complain.
That it will abuse us and harass us, that it will use the only tools it knows how. More patriarchy, more death threats, more rape threats, and you might not see it. But patriarchy is failing. Patriarchy is stumbling and falling. You might not see it, but patriarchy is losing. It is its dying breath, and it's using it to deny how badly it's going. It's patriarchy's dying breath, and it intends to go out fighting, to claw its ways into the hearts of young men who are so afraid of what their role will be in a big bad world that no longer belongs to only them, but to all of us.
A world where women could go work dangerous jobs, I could stay at home, do some cleaning, cooking. Yeah, not so bad. Where women would come and ask me out, would take me to dinner. If there's a war between two nagging countries because women are in charge, only women would go to war. I could stay at home and do the stuff that women usually do. Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad.
Whore, slut, cunt, feminazi, these are words used to pin us down, to keep us quiet. But we are dangerous women when we choose to speak.
I think it's closer to nagging than dangerous. Sorry.
To choose to speak is to realize that you are explosions. In the center of the status quo, they are only looking for ways to disarm you. They are only looking for ways to silence you, to make you safe for them, to make you compliant. And they will not succeed, because we are dangerous women, because to speak is to be a dangerous woman, and we will never shut up.
I believe you, I believe that women will never shut up. Have you thought that maybe once in a while you could shut up? And you know, one of the perks to being a woman as a man, I can tell you as women tell how masculinity is harmful for me, or how I am privileged as a man. I can tell what one of the perks of being a woman is that if you are in trouble, you know, in the street, there are other people around you. You've probably seen the social experiment when a man beats up a woman in the street, how men and women come to her rescue. But when it's other way around, when woman is beating a man, most of them laugh or just ignore. I wouldn't even surprised that if somebody would go and join her to beating up that guy. If somebody like you would go to police station or anywhere and just say, online abuse. You've even probably seen Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn talking in the UN. Is it UN? Anyway, I didn't see two guys speaking about online harassment. So society listens to you. And you claim that men and society doesn't listen to you. That's bullshit. But thanks for watching. Hit Girl on Batman. Now that's a good duo. Now there's even Superman and Raphael.